أشياء ثلاثة يشترك فيها الرجال والنساء واثنان يختصان بالنساء. Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayh, he said, إن كان مفسدا لمالي وديني أو كان مفسدا لمالي دون ديني حجر عليه. That if the child, after he is given custody of his wealth, after he is released, after the wealth is released to him, he proves to be a destroyer of his wealth or his religion. So he proves to be irresponsible, either in regards to his wealth or in regards to his religion. Then he will be restricted from using his wealth. Hujr. The word hajr is used for the restriction that is imposed on a child or on an adult in regards to his wealth that he cannot use at that time. So he will not be allowed to make any transactions. He will not be allowed to make any trades. He will not be allowed to do any business. All these restrictions will apply. And they will restrict his access to his own wealth. This is called hajr. وهو اختيار أبي العباس ابن شريح والثاني لا حجر عليه. And according to some ulama, he will not be restricted. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi's opinion is that once a child has become an adult, no restriction will be placed on his wealth, because he himself is responsible. And for that, he said, when he reaches the age of 25, and he said that when a child reaches the age of 25, he's obviously an adult. And it is possible for a 25-year-old to be a grandfather or a grandmother. So he said, I feel bad in putting restrictions on a grandfather, or I feel bad in putting restrictions on a grandfather. That look, he has become grandfather and he's still not responsible. So just because of that hesitation, I do not put any restrictions on that. In the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a Sahabi. He was an adult. He was about 40 years old, and his name was Habban bin Munqidh radiyallahu anhu. And he had a complaint. He had some problem with his memory. So he would forget things very quickly. So sometimes he would buy something from someone, and then before he would take the custody of that, he would forget about it. Sometimes people used to take advantage of his memory, and they used to trick him. They used to cheat him. So he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, O Prophet of Allah, I have this problem, and people seem to be taking advantage of this. So what should I do? What is right for me? So the Prophet ﷺ first told him that don't make any deals. Don't make any transactions. Refrain from doing any business, buying or selling. If you need to buy anything or sell anything, ask someone to do it for you. He said, I don't have some person standing by for me all the time. So I need to make transactions at times. I need to go buy something. I need to go sell something sometimes. So the Prophet ﷺ gave him an exception. He said, now when you go and make a transaction or make a deal, you say at that time, La khilaba, no cheating. Now this will give you an added privilege that, let's say when you come home and your wife tells you, no, you got cheated. What you got is not what you paid for. What you got is not right. So you will have the right to return it to the seller. You can take it back, and you can tell the seller that, listen, when I bought it from you, I put this condition that no cheating. And if it proves to be a cheat, I have the right to return it. So I will. And after that, whenever he used to make any deal or any transaction, he used to take it back to the seller and say that I have the right to return it. So these are the few things that are that must be kept in mind when making the transfer of wealth to the orphan. Make sure that the orphan is now responsible, or the orphan has reached the age of puberty or the age of marriage, or in some cases, some ulama have mentioned with regards to the girl, if the girl has gotten married, now the girl, she can be given the ownership of her wealth. She must be given her wealth. And similarly with the boy, if the guardian realizes that the boy is now mature enough, he is now responsible, he is now intelligent, and he will not waste his wealth, he can release his wealth to the child. وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحَ. But it is important to test the child, to test the orphan. فَإِنْ آنَسْتُم مِّنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. Now, if you perceive in them sound judgment, the word rushd is used. Rushd means intelligence or sound judgment or right understanding, correct understanding. You understand that this person, this guy or this boy now understand the real world. He now understand the right and wrong, the good and bad, the benefit and harm. فَإِنْ آنَسْتُم مِّنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُم. So release to them their wealth, their property. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوهَا إِسْرَافًا وَبِدَارًا أَن يَكْبَرُوا. Now the second thing comes during that time in which a person maintains his temporary hold on to the wealth of the orphan. So while you have the hold on the wealth of orphan, لا تأكلوها إسرافا. Do not eat the wealth wastefully. Israf means you treat it as the free wealth. You spend it wastefully. So for example, you are going to buy something for the child. It is not about spending on you, on yourself. It is about spending on the child. You are spending the child's wealth on the child, but instead of using it smartly, you waste it. How? Let's say you buy something that, let's say you compare two stores, Walmart and Target. At Target, you can buy the same thing for $5. And at Walmart, you'll buy the same thing for $10. So if that is the case, and instead of buying it from Target, you go to Walmart and say, who cares? It's not my wealth. It's the child's wealth. I'm buying something for him, so I can buy from here or there. So you buy the same thing for $10 instead of buying it for $5 when you could. Same thing, same quality, same brand, same company. But you went and bought an expensive one. So you wasted $5 of that child here. Similarly, you were able to get the same thing for one price, but instead you paid a higher price for the same thing just for your own convenience. Or just to keep this in mind that this is the child's wealth. I don't care if it costs 10 or 100. So you are wasting the wealth of that child. So this is also considered لا تأكلوها إسرافا. Do not eat the wealth of the child wastefully. And also in times when you are given permission to use the wealth reasonably, you do not waste it. وَبِدَارًا أَن يَكْبَرُوا.